What's up, one and all, and welcome to another Night Shift. It's Pucking alongside Jake and ZP, and tonight we have a very special episode. Jake, we've got a brand new sponsor. They're front and center at the bottom of our screen. You've been all excited after joining in multiple meetings. You inked the contract. So tell me all about it. What are we doing tonight?
Yeah, so, Shopify came in a huge way to support the Deadlock scene. We're going to be able to offer our biggest weekly prize pools ever in the history of this tournament. So our base prize pool is $2,500 right now. Obviously, still the potential to donate, but at least we're able to put up, I think, a pretty substantial stake now for the players.
It's meaningful money.
Battling over. Exactly.
And weekly cash going to the best players from EU and North America. For anyone who is new to the show, ZP, you're on episode like 65 or something like that. You've been doing this for nearly 2 years. The game is at a perfect place. I've spent the last 9 days grinding it. I feel like I might be a silver main. What are you playing right now?
For me, it's a lot of Ven and Geist. Ven and Geist, just because I feel like you have more of your destiny in control of your own hands if you're playing those heroes, like you can actually carry into the late game. I used to love playing a ton of Holiday, but unfortunately, Holiday is in the part here that, as we saw on last week's Night Shift, you can have the best early game in the world, and you're not going to be able to do anything in the game if your teammates are not on the same page, or frankly, the hero just falls off in powers. So, I feel like if you're climbing the ladder, you want to play some heroes that give yourself agency at all points of the game.
Yeah, I owe you an apology because I was making fun of Lady Geist quite a bit. I mean, she won one of her 6 games last week, but maybe she's better as a Geist main. Did not mean to throw you the shade. We do want to throw some support, though, towards our Patreons. Thank you all for supporting the channel, especially the OGs that were here on week 1, week 2. We will never forget you. And reminder, you can become a member over on YouTube. You can become a subscriber here on Twitch. And Jake, what do we do for our Patreon members?
Yeah, so we're doing the graveyard shift consistently week in, week out, and just an opportunity to dive deeper with some players and some, faces in the community. But really, I mean, I think for a lot of the Patreons right there here because they support what we're doing. They've been building this up alongside us. And so as we, bring in an amazing presenting sponsor like Shopify, that's awesome. But as I was mentioning in the Discord, we would not be here today. We would not be at this point today without the patrons. So seriously, whether you're a Patreon member, whether sub on YouTube, sub on Twitch, or just if you've been kind of sticking with us as a viewer through thick and thin with the show, it makes a world of difference, right? It's allowed us to get to this point, and it's an exciting moment in Deadlock Esports, right? I truly feel like the game is more competitive than it's ever really been at the top level. And the game is more exciting from a balance perspective than it's been for a while. It's just a beautiful moment to be a Deadlock fan.
Shout out to you guys keeping the pulse alive until it can fully evolve. ZP, let's talk about what is going on in the previous weeks and what we have in store for us. Also, we have a special guest joining us. Let's give a shout out to them first. Solomon, you got him ready? Is he available?
Who is it? It's
whoa, what? Wait, what?
Where is he? He's off his mark. Come on, Shoppy. We got to get him in.
Move your chair. Just move your chair. Move.
We got to turn the camera, Shoppy. Oh, he's here. Let's go. Shoppy.
Those hands look remarkably familiar, Jake.
That's, what? He's a stylish guy. He's a stylish guy. He's here to help. Here to assist. Oh, hi, Shoppy. Hi.
Can you tell me a little bit about Shoppy and our Shopify deal, Jake? Dive deeper for us at home.
Okay, so what Shopify is, guys, they've come in to support Deadlock in a huge way, right? Letting us do some of our biggest prize pools yet as Shoppy, hitting some moves over there. Much respect on the camera. But, what the product is a set of tools that makes it easier to sell online. Really, I think the key message is that it's not about, only some people can start a business. It's out of, maybe that's not what I do. That's what someone else does. Shopify's there to make sure that that's not true. Anybody can start a business. And with Sidekick now, it's an integrated set of AI tools for the platform that makes it even easier, right? You do what you're really good at, whatever your talent is, and Sidekick's going to handle the details. It's going to make it easier than ever to build a Shopify store, start selling in minutes. So you can check out our link in the chat to find more, learn about the product. It supports not only Shopify, but it really supports us here on the Night Shift, being able to bring sponsors in and have a much bigger, higher stakes tournament than we've been able to do for a while. And we got cute little Shoppy here to present it all. So for me, it's just a win-win scenario.
And if you didn't think you could start your own business, keep in mind that Jake is our CFO, ZP is our CEO. We're taking money from donations, and we haven't even put out merch yet. We're going to help Shopify level us up. You guys should check it out as well. If you're trying to start a business, if we can do it, you can do it. Let's stay tuned, though, for what's coming in store tonight as we transition to the EU Challenger matchup. I think I've bought these nerds enough times, ZP. Can we introduce them? Should we show the bracket?
Hopefully we get there. The teams have been in draft, but at the very least, we can talk about the teams that are playing here in our first EU match, where EU has been dealing with a bit of roster mania. We'll kick off with our first roster here, which let's talk about Abraham's, or we're doing bracket first, then Abraham's, but we got to talk about who's here. But yeah, it's Abraham versus Leviathan. And if you've missed the last few shows, you're probably wondering,
Challengers Grand Final? What's happening here?
it's a challenging match to start things off, which is a little bit weirder. Like, why is Abraham's playing in the challenger match? And it's like, yeah, the last month has been tumultuous in, and that's not how you say that word, in overall EU Deadlock, where Abraham's was on a very, very long streak, and it got broken. The new patch really changed the game, and rosters have shifted as a result. Now Abraham's fighting for a way to get back into the finals, reclaim their throne, but Lowkey W has looked very, very good, especially with the new addition of Hoon.
Yeah, Jake, we got to call this out. Abraham's and Leviathan is a grand final matchup that we've seen like 15 times. Lowkey W as a returning champion is not something we're used to.
Yeah, it's a big upset victory for them to be holding on to the finals. And I think while Leviathan, you know, they've been our most recent champion, they're going to be wanting to make a quick return to the throne, because I think the longer you stay on the outside looking in, the harder it gets to come back and retake that championship. And Abraham's, they've been in the doldrums for a while, but it's almost like they've had, I think, enough time now to start diagnosing some of these issues, to start playing better. But they've had chances at Leviathan in the past, and now in a BO1, that's going to be their only shot to get back to the EU Challenger match, so, or rather the EU Finals match. So, you know, a lot of stakes on this match, I think, for both teams. EU is about as competitive as it's ever been before. I really think all these top three teams have a genuine shot at being champ today.
Big shout out to Meg, Skeptic, and everyone else who is here at the very first minute of the show to the very end. You are familiar with these squads, but for those who are not, here are the Abrahams. Once champions, they have fallen on hard times, and last week we saw a player get scouted out and scooped. Now it looks like that player might still be there. In fact, are there two new players on this roster? Walk me through it, ZP.
Yeah, I mean, so basically Hoot and Dimov, who many would have seen as the heart of Abraham's at one point, at the very least in terms of players with the deepest hero pools and some of the flashiest gameplay, they are both gone. Hoot left to join Lowkey W, and Dimov has left to join North America, which is an entirely different thing. Dimov's on the Foreman now, playing on NA ping, which is all sorts of wild. We actually made a rule starting from today that if you play in a region, you're locked into that region for 4 weeks, because we didn't want a situation where Dimov would be swapping back and forth from NA to EU every single week, but he was serious about it. He's playing in NA. But I mean, for Abraham's, let's not discount the additions that they've added in here. Do I think Hoot and Dimov have really big shoes to fill? Yes. Are Arzo and Bobby players that we've seen night in and night out for the night shift on different teams? Also, yes. Also, now this is a full Russian roster where there's no worries about like mixed language, where, I mean, that was apparently one of the main reasons why Hoot decided to leave, is that just dealing with the mixed language comms was a little bit difficult. But now for Abraham's, they have the full unified communication setup at the very least. So, I mean, we'll see where it goes. I think when you look at the rest of the squad, you can't really deny the overall consistency of Sanya in the M1 role, together as frontline, Sainta support. And I think Tass, while Tass is still kind of looking for his identity. Yeah, I mean, ideally a lot of Paradox from Tass, but the problem for Tass is that the pick role is like not really the role that it used to be. You don't always pick a pick hero nowadays, and even Paradox isn't the priority that she used to be. So I think, you know, this meta has probably been the worst for Tass of anyone for Abraham's.
I've been excited to see what he flexes to, because Tass and Paradox kind of were just hand in hand. They were peas and carrots, if you will. Jake, on the other side, though, we got to take a look here at the new lineup for Overseas, Fremont, Rake, OC's, Razumi, and is Dimov here tonight, or who is filling in?
We'll have to see, you know, who ends up filling in. Dimov playing in NA. But honestly, for this Leviathan squad, I give them a lot of credit, because you look at a player like Fremont, right? I remember, you know, thinking, wow, this Fremont guy, he's like great on the shiv. He like makes like a lot of these frontliners really sing. And for a lot of these players, right, they had success on other rosters, but it was when they finally came together that they started stringing together wins here on the night shift. I would assume it's going to be Psy back in. I think D-Mob was ringing last time, so it's really be Psy back in for Leviathan. And Psy's another huge factor for their success. He's been playing initiators, playing playmakers. It feels like it doesn't matter what you put him on. He's going to have a key impact on the game. So, for Leviathan, I almost, like, is it crazy to say I think of them as maybe almost the favorite to win this? On top of that, 3 Mo Krills, chat. 3 Mo Krills. I rest my case.
Can we give a shout out to production how quickly they got Psy in as soon as Jake said it? D-Mob out for this week, Psy back in. And ZP, this is honestly a little bit of a mental issue I have. If you're a team, you just told your teammate, hey, you're not good enough, we're going to try somebody new. And that didn't work out for you as D-Mob goes somewhere else. Or was Psy just on vacation and D-Mob was filling in? What's the drama? What's the real story?
I actually think it's the latter because it was always filled as a 1 week thing. Although, as we'll know in the Deadlock scene, just because someone subs in for a week, like a lot of ways, like those substitutions become permanent. I mean, so yeah, I mean, either way, in this instance, it was a 1 week sub on paper, and it has been a 1 week sub in reality as Psy is back in the lineup. And also, I mean, frankly, I think Leviathan actually looked weaker without Psy, not because D-Mob is bad or anything, but I think they were used to playing around Psy. So
the soul distribution was clearly off last week.
Yes. So for Leviathan, they get to come back in their full championship winning form, and we'll see if that's enough to get past Abrahams to get a crack at a rematch against Lowkey W.
All right, if the draft is done, let's jump into the 1v1. If not, let's talk about picks and priorities. Jake, is there any character that you think will not see the light of day because they're too good and going to be insta-banned? We didn't see a lot of Celeste for a while, then Mirage was picked on in recent weeks.
Honestly, I think there's kind of a big 3 in my mind right now, which is Silver, Celeste, and Mirage. And it's kind of interesting because in a way, they're each in their own niche. Like Mirage is this like hard carry pick, Celeste as like the spirit-based team fighter, and Silver as like a pick-off / frontliner, aggressive dive hero. So for me, all 3 of these characters are really, really top tier, but the priority that teams place on them, I think, is going to say a lot about the way they want to play the game, because you're kind of choosing which of these 3 roles you want to either deny from the opponent or pick first. But with 3 super strong heroes, it means that at least one of them is going to make it into every single game. So I think that's actually kind of an exciting moment. It's not like there's just one hero that's obviously above the rest. Although if I had to pick that one, it probably would be Mirage. I think the global teleport, the organized play is so good at making use of a global teleport on a carry hero that I think that might be considered just like the thing that you can't deal with. There's no way to stop Mirage. You could stun him, but if he's TPing into the fight, there's nothing you could do about it. He can TP into your back line and start, cooking you. So that is a really challenging thing to play against, and I suspect it's probably still top prio. But we did see Mirage get through a couple times last week, so it's hard to say. It's up to these teams the way they read the meta.
ZP, Amazon owns Twitch.tv. And did you know if you have Amazon Prime, you have a free Twitch sub? And we just saw 7 people use their Primes within the first 15 minutes of the show tonight.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, look, it's one of the easiest ways to show support to the show if you have it. I mean, truthfully, I'm bad. I don't even use my Prime most months.
Get on
the chat. Me.
Get on the chat right now.
But you got to do it every month. You got to do it every month.
No, I know.
ADHD people, we have a hard time. So I'll remind you, just keep coming back to the show. In the meantime, we've got a bunch of fat guys with smaller guys on their back ready to punch each other. They're wearing fancy hats. Jake, let's get into the play-by-play for the Abrahams. It's Saint. On the other side, Leviathan has Psy.
Ooh, okay. Big parry from Saint. And another one. Saint absolutely working in this 1v1. And a triple.
Oh, my word.
Styled on. That is
Was that 6? Was that 6 haymakers?
That was about as brutal as it can get in this 1v1.
By the way, I need a note. We haven't really been keeping detailed stats on, but I feel like I haven't seen Saint lose Mo 1v1 in a really long period of time. Like, Saint is actually the GOAT at Mo 1v1s, and we never realized because Abrahams didn't have to do Mo 1v1s for, the better part of 3 months. They just weren't in challenger matches at all.
We need to get a picture of Saint, and then we need to build him a skin on Mo.
That would be disturbing. Is he going to be Krill or is he going to be Mo? Because that's a big difference.
I think he should be Mo. I think his little face should be stretched out on a big old Mo. We're going to get Creamy Nut and friends into the game. Here we go. It is time for your draft. He just subscribed. I didn't come up with that name. It's a real chatter. It's on your screen. Abraham's taking on Leviathan. Jake, don't worry. I know it's a sponsored show, and we don't expect Mirage to be played tonight.
Yeah, I would. I mean, I wonder if Abraham's. I think it's up to Leviathan to ban Mirage.
Silver's gone. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, Abraham's bans the silver out. For Leviathan, it's a tough question here. Do you just? I mean, giving away Celeste first pick though, I don't think is as bad as it once was. I think some of the nerfs to Celeste, she can be dealt with. Like you pick enough CC, enough control on the team. It feels like you can respond to her. And Leviathan gonna agree, but Abraham's, do they actually go with the Celeste or do they have a different vision?
Yeah, reminder, you get one pick. If you're Abraham's, Leviathan will get to go back-to-back here. ZP, what are you picking first?
Yeah, I mean, I think going with Celeste would be completely fine here. I'm just trying to think if there's any off picks. You won't see the first pick Ivy, I don't think. And yeah,
don't do that again.
Celeste comes in. This is not North America. We do not first pick Ivy in Europe is the key here. But okay, giving up the Celeste now, looking on the other terms, I mean, things that could be coming through. Things like Geist were getting picked in first two picks a lot last week. Venator can easily come in first two. We'll see what it is. And okay, Venator's going to come in. And I mean, people just respect the fact that especially if Mirage is off the table, you're not going to get a better M1 in the game right now than Venator.
I agree. I think Venator's the best carry. Having the anti-heal core on your skill that you don't need to buy items for is massive because now your team buys additional anti-heal on top of that, and they're gonna rip it in with the double carry, which actually has been rare these days, right? Like
you gotta keep the Geist away, right? You don't want the Geist and Celeste combo.
I guess, I mean, it does snipe the top two carries in the meta, and it puts Abraham's in an awkward spot. I feel like Abraham's needs to, maybe in this two picks, find some sort of alternative M1 carry, because you have a lot of damage from Shiv, but I think if you end up tanking like a ban on, I don't even know who the next best carry is, though, frankly. Like, maybe it's Mina. I think you might need, but she's so spirit damage heavy. I actually think Abraham's need to find gun damage in very quickly in this draft.
Whatever they throw at me.
Yeah, as Abrams coming in, honestly, when I'm looking at this here, I kind of feel like Abraham's will angle towards Mina just because once Mirage, Ven, and Geist are out of play, you do start going the weirder options. Like, you can play a Warden. Like, I do think Warden is viable. He's not, like, your first pick by any means, but we might be going towards that. Also, with the Rem being picked up for Leviathan, I'm curious if they go here and deny a support, either taking out a Kelvin or a Page from
Kelvin's going to be
Abraham's.
gone, I think. You've seen the Shiv-Kelvin combo too many times from the Abrahams. There it is.
Yeah, good call, Puck. I think that's absolutely right. Like, the one way these like all-in spirit drafts can work is they trap you in the dome and they just kill enough heroes and they tempo the game hard enough where you can win before like 30 minutes. I just think that's like Leviathan's theory of the draft. Taking Geist and Venator is like, we're going to take the two best gun carries. We're going to deny you any, relevant gun carry. And I honestly, for Abraham's, I feel like you have to take like Warden. The Mina is also top tier, but again, I think it's too much spirit damage. I think if you're just all in on spirit damage, it's too easy to counter by you, right? Rem has minus spirit damage, right, on his little helpers, assisting his allies, mitigating that damage. And on top of that, they're all going to buy Spirit Resil. And the rest of Abraham's just, they're all countered with like the same items, which I think is pretty tough to deal with. You get to the late game and you're just not going to be able to compete.
I think they end up with Paradox in the next two picks here, just because Tass needs a hero, and Tass has still been more on the pick hero pilled. And I mean, if you're going to play a pick hero, usually Paradox is the one to go for here. Getting Paradox at fifth pick isn't too bad.
Welcome back.
That's what I'm kind of expecting to round things out. And yeah, Infernus I think is good. Like, I think teams were undervaluing Infernus as of late. But okay,
and it's a good counter to Apollo, right? Because Apollo can't advance in onto you. Ivy is an interesting pick. Now, Jake, we were seeing it play differently in North America and EU, maybe over prioritized by EU. What do we think about her coming in this late?
I do like getting her this late in the draft. I don't think Ivy is bad by any means. And I really like her when she's paired with Celeste and Shiv and even Abrams to an extent. Like, these characters that you can fly in aggressively that want to be like deep in the enemy backline, right? Yeah, you drop them in like a bomb, and Celeste absolutely can make plays from that spot. Same for Shiv, right? You could get them on top of, the enemy Vindicta or Paradox early in the fight. For Leviathan,
going at the end here, ZP, you knew Paradox would get back in the game. Did you see it for Leviathan?
Yeah, I think if Abrams was angling to pick Paradox, picking Ivy was a mistake. Ivy was not going to get picked by Leviathan after they had already picked the Rem. So I don't love the sell. Now they're going with Mo and Krill, where, I mean, Okay, my question is, who's going to play it? Because normally
he just showed you. He's got the best hands in the business.
Yeah, here's the point though. Normally it would be Saint on Mo, but they wouldn't pick Saint with Ivy at the same time. Like it would have been ideally Ivy on, or rather Saint on the Ivy, but now you've also picked the Mo. So I actually think what's going to happen here is that you're going to get Saint on Ivy, and Tass is going to end up on Mo and Krill because it fits playstyle wise. That is the most likely scenario to me as I look at the Abraham's draft. But I really don't think they went into this expecting to pick Mo and Krill. I think they thought that Paradox was going to be open to the end for Tass.
Question, you're mentioning all the spirit damage. Where is the weapon damage now? Or what else do you do so that your whole team can't get countered by a single item, Jake?
I do think, I mean, this is a little bit wild. I mean, Infernus can build a bit more gun, but no matter what you build on Infernus, you're going to be relatively heavy spirit damage, right? Due to the way Afterburn works. You know, so I think you can build a little more into gun. We saw like League go for the full spirit build. I don't think we'll see that this game. I think it'll be a little bit more of a carry. But also, I'm wondering if this won't be an Ivy that actually builds a bit more into gun. I don't know that she can be like the hard carry in the game, but I could see that. I mean, with this Mo as the last pick, I almost think you want to put a little bit more resource into Ivy and see her get a little bit more farmed. I don't know that you actually go full carry Ivy. It might be more of like a diversified pick, but I do think they were hurting
gun
bad.
Ivy?
I mean, I actually think it might be a Taz Celeste. Taz has been diversifying.
Yeah, okay.
Like, this meta is not good for pure pick players. Being like a pick hero only player, it just doesn't seem viable right now. You need to have flexibility. And Taz has shown that he is still really solid on some of these. Like, I think he played a bit of, if I'm not mistaken, he played a bit of Silver and a bit of Celeste. So, you know, I think he has better options for different ways to contribute to the game. And a player that skilled, it's like, I want to see them flexing and not being like stuck on their old picks when the meta shifts away.
I want to see him on Mina. He's got a good gunny. Big shout out. Kono's coming in with 5 gifted. We had Conway here in the chat as well. Let us know, who is your favorite hero? Did they just get picked? Who are you maining right now? And who are you banning? ZP, if you're Lady Geist main, who is your bane of existence? And did they land on the Abrahams?
I mean, overall for Leviathan, I don't think you're really fearing too much on the Abraham's draft here. I think the main thing is as you get into the early mid game, like you always have to deal with the fact that Mo like can create a lot of pressure, especially as you get in the 10 minutes and you're looking for proximity ganks and all the rest. But I don't feel like Leviathan actually comes out of the lane phase looking particularly bad here. I mean, all their lanes that they should be able to make with this lineup are reasonably strong. Like, it's actually interesting as I look at both teams. I don't feel like there's a massive gap between them in the various stages of the game. So it's kind of interesting. I think maybe a little bit more pressure on Abrahams in the early mid purely because you're running the Mo.
Jake, who's got the best lane? What combo are you pairing for each team?
I do really like Leviathan's draft with the Rem and the double carry. I think that setup just to start the draft off puts you in a great spot. Rem, I think, is pretty fantastic at like staying in the side lane with the carry and just keeping them like dominating that side lane forever, keeping the map constantly pressured in on that side. And so I think whether it's Venator or Geist, I probably expect Venator. I think that's a more likely pairing. That lane, I think, is going to be pretty dominant. Maybe the early game, it won't be super active, but as we get toward like the mid game, I think you're going to see the Venator getting a ton of farm and the lane putting a lot of pressure on the map.
Lots of farm, build around the late game Venator. ZP on the other side, who are we building around? Is it the Shiv that does max damage? Is Celeste the scariest? Is it Abrams? It doesn't seem to be the guy.
I mean, I think for Abrahams, you're hoping to get a lot of proximity picks, both with Mo and Krill and Abrams. I think Infernus right now is actually best played as a mid-game bruiser. Like, people look at Infernus and think back to the days of like, oh, it's Lethon Infernus, and, you know, the Infernus is the ultimate hard carry. And I think Infernus's power spike is a little bit before that, actually, in terms of the mid-game. Celeste, of course, can actually get really, really big. I think, ideally, you still love when your Shiv gets ahead of the game. Like, no one... Like, Shiv still has the dynamic where if the Shiv is ahead of the game, he's not going to go down particularly easy. He's going to be able to take fights in the 1v2, 1v3 fashion. Things are going to go real well. And oh my word, I didn't realize Shoppy was here.
He's invasive. We love him. Welcome into the show, Shoppy. He's like, where is the game? I came here for games. Bring me the games. Jake, never mind. He's just going to entertain the fans, so it's ready.
Jake's muted. Jake is speechless, actually.
Yeah.
I muted myself because my dog was barking. Sorry about that. Shoppy's doing the entertainment while we wait for players to get into game, be able to get the lobby ready. I do think though the gun damage issue for Abrahams is real. Like I do think ultra late. I don't like tends to be the case in current Deadlock that spirit damage falls off in the late game. So that I'm honestly a little bit worried for Abrahams. Like even with
ZP, I only have one game
some
at
better
Shiv.
builds.
Is he weapon damage? Because like his shotgun seems like it does some serious blasting, and then his bleed is all spirit, right?
Yeah, generally people build the knife max nowadays for the most part, but also just heavy survivability. Like just the fact that Shiv isn't going to die in the middle of the fight is pretty much his bread and butter when he gets ahead, because you just hit a point where it's like, oh, okay, we've thrown everything at Shiv and he's still alive. And yeah, I mean, as I'm looking at this game, I do think there is more pressure on Abrahams on the early game relative to Leviathan. I mean, Leviathan has more things that are just going to be annoying to deal with in the late game, but they also have a few things that fall off. Like, I don't think Vin scales that well into the end game so far. Apollo is kind of hit or miss in where that's at. I mean, both teams have aspects that fall off a bit late, but for Leviathan, you're still potentially going to have a really mega farmed Geist and Ven, and relative to Abrahams, it's probably going to be a bit better. But conversely, Abrahams gets to run at you a lot more aggressively pre 20 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a grand finals treat here as a challenger matchup. Best of one. Win and move on. Lose and go home for the biggest prize pool yet on Night Shift Deadlock. Let's get into the game. On the mic, it's the great ZP with Jake.
All right,
Right,
ZP,
Jake.
let's do it, man. Getting into the action here. Of course, we got to hit a dice pause, but it's a little opportunity to show off some of what we've been working on here. Ooh,
I'm looking forward to.
Look at that. Look at that.
Ooh,
ZP.
I got one, guys. So I was hanging out in the hideout, and I was wondering, do you think we're uptown or downtown? Let me know, chat. Are you uptown or downtown? Those from New York will know it.
I am not well versed enough in New York to actually properly respond to this, Jake. I don't know
What
about
is this
you.
play? They just quad lane mid on the first wave? What is this innovation for Abrahams?
That's wild.
Like, I don't think we've ever seen that. So they're hard shoving mid and then leaving two solo laners to tank the wave.
Is it legal to pause after noticing the 4-man hit?
I mean, it's EU. It's legal to pause whenever you want. Like EU and pauses go back a long, long way.
Like,
Look at this.
Leviathan's confused. They're like, what happened? How does
890?
Mo have all those souls?
Well done, Soul. Taz has got 890.
Dude,
Yeah.
I've never been more confused. Wait, look at Mo.
Restart it, Z-Pizzle.
Styling, huh?
What do we think?
Truthfully, I got no idea what may have happened here.
So everyone has 890 souls?
The four
No,
players that went mid, are they all
yeah.
890? Yeah, because Shiv's
Shouldn't-
there, Ivy.
Shouldn't they have less? Because don't you get 890 from the full wave? Or you don't, you get less than that. You should have like just over, you should have enough to like buy your first item from the wave, but they all have it. Which,
Yeah.
and then let's see what the side laners are getting.
600.
I mean, yeah. 'cause
Wait,
they haven't-
also, wait. They've all completely abandoned mid lane and gone the triple lane left, triple lane right here, Jake.
Okay, what is this CP? They have cooked some crazy strat.
This is the new Abrahams in the new
This is-
opening, as it
This is
were.
another level, all right? Yoshi is like, what is going on? The Deadlock balance team is like, guys, we need to see what's going on here.
And we've ended up Ivy Soul middle. By the way, it is Tass on the Ivy, so Saint is on the Mo. This is interesting. I mean,
Best hands in the business, baby.
with airdrop, I mean, for Taz, you can be super mobile. It's not quite the same level of like ultra roam pick play that Taz normally would do, but we'll see how it pans out. I mean, this is interesting so far.
I mean, they have a soul lead, so like clearly it's working economy-wise. So the soul split on 4 players, isn't it 25%
Wait,
each?
then
It should
they
be
brought-
worse.
They brought 4 middle again, and then they're split like. Jake,
They're doing
what
this
are these
every
lane
wave.
rotations?
They're doing this every. So if you split the waves, 3 waves on the side lane, I believe it's 36% per. So you're netting out to like plus 9% over the whole wave, where 2 people splitting is plus 8, but that shouldn't be enough to account for this.
Also, I mean, the overall aggregate is absurd. Abrahams is way ahead. I mean,
Like,
you may look at me like it's
genuinely,
just,
what is going on?
I don't
I
know.
feel like this is going to completely change the meta if this works. Like, why? I actually don't understand why this works. Like, math-wise, I feel like it shouldn't. Is the soul sharing different in like the very early game?
I don't know, but we're back to 4 in middle. Like, this is
They're roaming every wave. They're doing this to have big stacks on like as many waves as they can.
And they're just getting further and further ahead.
And Leviathan is doing this sort of conventional play here where they're kind of like one manning the wave, someone else box run. The key is like, do you get punished for this kind of like constantly lane swapping the predictable rotations across the map?
Well,
I mean, Leviathan doesn't know what to do.
So far as the answer is no, and also I think fighting Abrahams in these rotations is dangerous. You can't fight them when they're 4 in middle, and you don't want to fight them when they're 3 in each side lane. And the one you've left in middle is Ivy, and Ivy can stone form in on a dive. Like, Ivy is actually not the easiest character in the dive. This is a wild opening to the game, Jake. I'm processing.
Mo had ult at 3 minutes. Like, that is crazy. Although, hold on. You know, you might have some more farm here, but it's going to mean these kills are going to be extra impactful if you do find them. Vindicta looking to set this one up, has done enough damage. Even OCs gets the last hit, which is pretty ideal for this setup.
Well, that removes a little bit of the proceeds here so far. I'm getting DMs from a coach within the scene saying, you know, maybe the soul calculation is a little bit bugged right now. I honestly have no idea. That would make sense because I feel like you shouldn't be getting ahead from this, but you know, there's no specific rule against it either.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't even call this really bug abuse because it's so foundational. Like, you couldn't even avoid, like if soul splitting were changed. It's not like you just have to be in the right spot on the map, I guess, to get the value out of it. Combo in mid.
I mean, quick combo and a quicker escape. Not the easiest target to take down an Apollo so early. Yeah, I mean, I'm getting questions from players on other teams being like, hey, what do you think about the situation? And I don't know if you can make a rule against early rotations. Like, I just don't think that's something you can make a rule against. It just that I don't know what's going on the game wise, but you can't position you can't position this way.
I mean, that's a job for Yoshi, not the players, right?
Yeah, the game has been like this before, right? There have been times where like, you know, like weird laning rotations have been the meta because they just like get you more souls. And I just don't, it's not really our purview, I think, to ban it ultimately. Ram's gonna contest it. Is kind of happy to soak some damage. Kind of gonna be a brawl for the rune as it comes up. A little bit of an early melee, but Venator's here with the shotgun. And honestly, you find a couple counter kills here. Like, this isn't really going to be a game-winning play from Abrahams. They had a couple thousand soul lead, but it's really hard to leverage like pre-5 minutes because the towers are just too tanky. Ivy caught in mid, and Task needs to play his way out of this. Getting run down though.
What is that new tech we have here? We got the buff on the UI. We got Ven with survival buff. Pills up the Iradomini, takes down Tass. I know we got some new UI goodies, courtesy of Tracklock, who's also sponsoring the show. And I knew we were going to get some, bigger stats at the end of the game. I didn't know we would get this, add-on to the UI.
It's so nice.
You just told me about Tracklock yesterday, ZP. We'll catch all the action on the Guardians here. But real quick, while we're on the topic, what is Tracklock and why is it going to make me better?
Yeah, so Tracklock has come in as our other sponsor on today's show, and they make a companion app for Deadlock, right? And it's just a way to learn the game more quickly. You get exposure to things like in-game timers, a buff tracker, better stats, and always up-to-date profile if you use the app. And so all those things help you learn, help you on your competitive journey in Deadlock. They've also come in to support the show. More on that later, of course. But some of our improvements to the UI and live stats also come courtesy of Tracklock.
Saints in trouble here.
Off in the middle. OCs, who has been the bane of Abraham so far, down to half HP. Sanya able to find free mock combo out, and this time around, OC's not going to leave with the kill. Things again, all sorts of skirmishy. Some of the crazier rotations have calmed down a bit here, Jake, and we're descending back into what could best be described as normal Deadlock.
Yeah, I mean, I truly think like every other team that's competing today is going to watch this replay though and try to copy that. I think this is something that Abrams like figured out and cooked up before the matches. They're going to use it to their advantage, but think about discovering a new tech like this as other teams will catch up very, very quickly, make the adjustments needed. Wouldn't be surprised if that's the case already by the end of the day.
Now, Abraham's looking to apply a bit of pressure here to the right side lane. Combo still on cooldown for a bit. But with a 3 put over onto the right, doesn't really appear to be too much of a defense from Leviathan on defending. Instead, Leviathan's going to rotate in the middle and look for some kills there.
Dude, Rake has so many kills. Like, I think it's like, what's his third already?
Might be. Wait, that's already plus 12 on Assassinate.
Is it base 6 or base 4? I'm not enough of a Vin player.
I think it's base 6, actually. So it's 2 Assassinate kills so far, I think. I also don't play a ton of Vin.
Midgard's gonna go down.
Hyperline and gets caught, but they
risky.
Not realized. Also, I don't think it was in position to punish.
Yeah, they were focused on the kill on Taz, or on Sai rather, who was already super low. But the gank's gonna continue mid. Sonya coming in for Abrahams, wants to assist this, might turn into a bigger team fight. Ooh, don't know. Oh, slivers of HP, but the triple knife stack wasn't even that close.
Also looking at some of the item build from Sanya, the early silence wave.
Oh, check this out.
On Celeste coming in, and we got some fancy graphs here, Jake.
Yeah, I mean, so look at the lead here for Abrahams. Like, across the board, this early game start that they've gone for, everybody is a little bit stronger. I mean, you wouldn't be surprised that some of the supports are behind, but it's only Venator, really the standard bearer. He's gonna have to get involved more early than he might like to. But if you're feeding kills to OCs, like, that network could kind of turn an advantage against you.
Also, it's kind of interesting to see OCs on the Ven. I think he's played it a few times before, but normally see OCs on the Mina. Also, in this case, OCs on the Dead. Abraham's able to rotate enough to deal with them here. But, you know,
ZXC, I am not familiar with your Shiv game. It's looking like Together Junior.
Yeah,
that's actually inadvertently a good point there, Jake. Just the part that you have Shiv being played by Abrahams, and it's not Together on it. Together actually going on to the Abrams. Like, normally Together was Shiv ride or die no matter what. As the chase down on the rake, surely there's no way out this time around.
Yeah, and I mean, they brought 2 new players into this team, right? So 1/3 of your roster is different. They changed a lot, but honestly, I think this is kind of the injection that Abrahams needed, right? They're innovating. They're playing a new style. Taz goes for the healing Nova though, so he's not going to be all in on the damage carry, but I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't go too supporty this game, if he continues to invest in that gun damage to scale a little bit more towards the late game.
Well, about to hit next round of buffs and first turn, and when the dust has settled a bit here, Jake, it's Abrahams leaving all the early game chaos with a nearly 10k lead. This is about at the point where Leviathan would actually get advantage earned, depending on the game state in just a moment. So, you know, it's one thing if that's Abrahams, you cannot allow under any circumstances because it removes a lot of the benefit of your early game.
Yeah, it's close. I'm not sure if I don't think you can ever do an advantage earn though. And I mean, even if you don't end up dunking it, which, this one is even. It's actually huge for Abrahams. They can force that. They're going to try and TP in and hit a contest, but I wonder if they might not be a little late on the rotation. They might just end up giving this dunk for free and trying to maybe kill off Sonya and take a T1.
Looks to be the case. No real rotation in the deal with the earn. Instead, looking for Sanya, but Celeste, not the easiest kill in the world at this point in the game. I think also already has Silence Wave. One of the quicker buys on Celeste.
Tether was missed. Yeah, you're not going to be able to find that kill without the tether. Great movement from Sonya there to slip away.
Yeah, I don't know about the trade calculus there. I could see Leviathan thinking, okay, we probably can't fight Earn, but they also weren't really in position to get much value.
I think it was a call off of Fremont because he got the silencer, right? And then they go, let's go get a pick. Go for the buffest player on the other side. Didn't work out.
Yeah, I mean, Sonya, it's like you need the lockdown. The silence doesn't, I mean, helps Celeste from firing back at you and pumping in lifesteal, which could be nice, but these tethers are really crucial. Like, Ray kind of is your first catch. I guess Sai needs to be able to find those swaps as well in the Paradox. But this crazy economy strat from Abrahams in the early game, it's put them in the driver's seat this game. It really is up to comeback earns, but to get Leviathan back in, but we're still a few minutes away from that.
I just love the fact that we can see buffs now, Jake, as I'm looking at Saint. Saint picking up the casting buff. I guess, did someone die after picking up the other buff? Because we're missing a buff here. Either that or Saint somehow devoured both.
Yeah, it had to have been one of the deaths, lost a buff. Abraham's a lot of players in the middle of the map here. It's not a very efficient play, and it leaves Celeste exposed on the side lane, who gets absolutely annihilated here. Nice gank set up by Irizumi there. dive onto Vindicta, though, is an ideal target for Shiv. She does not have the tankiness. One more knife, probably enough for the kill. He's maybe going to look for one more just for good measure. Tries to dive the Walker, though, and does get dunked on for it. I believe, yeah, already used the ult. Swap does miss, but Venator might be able to run this one down.
Pulls out the Domini, looking for the shot, and off the bloodletting. That may be enough. It's really close to an AKs, but goes over, misses the fadeaway, and as a result, Bobby actually, I think, gets away with his life from that miss.
Oh, that's so huge for the Shiv. That would have been a really nice kill for Venator, but oh, Irizumi runs it down. Great commit from Rem. If he can get out into the tunnels, he gets out. He should be out of this scot-free. Maybe, actually, maybe. Hold on. Celeste is here, ready to punish, but I think it's worth it, even if he dies. He's making a lot of space on the Rem.
Even getting the kill, though, that's a pretty big loss. I mean, the amount of souls you get for getting credited with a solo kill at this point in the game is actually super significant. So even though Rem gets the kill and, you know, Shiv has to go back to base, you'd much rather have the souls that Irizumi just got going directly to the OCs instead. So there's still a bit of a penalty for OCs missing that shot.
Another fight here. Fremont looking to get active, connecting onto the Mo. He goes for a combo, but it's a desperation combo here. He's going to get punished and deleted. Nice parry, and the Itani Losan also puts Fremont into a good position to keep this fight going if they want to try.
Something of note here, Jake, is that, you know, based on the comps, you know, I think our end conclusion was Abraham's needed to get a little bit more out of the, you know, pre-20 minutes part of the game. And I don't know if they've gotten enough here so far. Leviathan's been chipping away at the lead, and I think the later this game goes, the better things likely get for Leviathan, so long as Bobby or Sanya don't get super far ahead. And, you know, in Bobby's case, he's actually the least farmed on Abraham so far. It's not really where you wanted your Shiv to be. Like, you wanted this to be the, you know, Shiv and Celeste leading the way. The way this game is shaping up right now, I actually think Leviathan is in a really good spot, Jake.
Yeah, I think like one good fight that puts them back on even souls would really right this game. And in the end, you haven't really taken Walker damage. You're not really going to sweat the tier 1s here too much, especially given this draft. Another swap, though, missed by Sign. There might be an opportunity for a counterpunch. Abraham's, these kind of early game fights are exactly what their comp is built for. Catch on to Rem would be great. He's a tough kill if he has that tag along available.
Taking a look at Sai, no swap left remaining. Bobby able to get overseas down early into the fight, and Abraham's quickly backing off after the pick. Now, what do you get out of this here? You got buffs up in 1 second. Abraham's going to be positioning for both of them.
Nice snipe.
Bobby, though, a little bit deep. Ends up getting punished by Rayek in turn, so while both buffs are going to be picked up by Abraham's, they lose Bobby in the crossfire.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you have this net worth lead, like, the kills are worth more. And it really, I mean, there's been good kills. Like, finding that Geist is nice. But similar story to last time, right? You go deep on the Shiv, you make a play happen, and Leviathan rotate in enough, and they get the punish. Still, double buff available for Abraham's. You know, it's kind of the opposite of what you want, though. The spirit buff is on Ivy, who's on a little bit more for the gun build. And Celeste is holding on to the gun buff, which is nice on Celeste, right? You have that spirit damage from your first skill on your basic attacks. But yeah, you're right. I think Leviathan are really holding on to this game. Like, that early, you know, soul advantage is nice, but it's not going to win you the game.
No, and I mean, even losing the kill there and losing the buffs, I mean, if you're Leviathan, this is a little bit more of a rope-a-dope game where, you know, your goal is just not to lose too hard. Let things play out to the end. Let OCs do the OC special and get really farmed on the Ven. And 18K, OCs is doing his job right now. I mean, he's at the point where when you're this far ahead on Ven, you pop in your Domini, I mean, you could legitimately two-shot Sanya under the right circumstances. The problem I think that's hurting Leviathan a little bit is that, you know, they've been giving up Urn, I think, because realistically their team fight isn't as strong right now. But they also haven't been extracting much of a benefit for giving up Urn either. So that's the one thing that's keeping Abraham's ahead of the game, and I think helps Abraham's maintain the lead that they have to at this point. Like, Abraham's, ideally you get it to 20K, and you're not as worried about some of the late game implications.
Yeah, holding it at mid-prio, definitely going to be battled over for now. But you're kind of happy to park Geist and Venator in the side lanes and just defend Walkers. Celeste, she can, like, put some harassment down, but you're not really able to crack the Walker. So for Leviathan, like, you know, maybe you don't have to contest these urns. A combo onto Rem is a nice find, but with Tagalong, he's going to be just fine. Now assisting Fremont on the Apollo. And we're into a fight that has started pretty decently for the underdogs.
Domini popped out by OCs. He's going to go for it right now, taking his time on the shots. Killing blow, just used for a bit of mobility. Arzo finding Rayek. in the interim, Domini put away, and Leviathan not getting too much in this fight.
Yeah, Leviathan, they just can't get really their ults off in the fight, right? Like, Irizumi doesn't have the opportunity to. And in the end, maybe this Infernus is stronger than we've been giving him credit for. I think you're talking about the power spike for Infernus. I think this is kind of it. Maybe once he gets the spirit spike with that next buy, it'll be really his spike in the game. But I think like when you get that toxic spirit shredder, like full debuff on everybody, and people just don't have those Dispel Magics purchased yet, for me, that's a key moment. And speaking of Dispel Magic, it's kind of an insane Dispel Magic game. Both Infernus and Shiv on the game. I think this is actually a really, really strong game for the Dispel Magic, and once they start coming online, it'll be great for Leviathan.
Yeah, I mean, Dispel Magic has generally been the bane of both heroes, and as is, Dispel Magic is one of the most bought items, period, in this current meta. I mean, it's useful versus plenty of things, especially, you know, up against heroes that buy toxic bullets, but particularly Shiv and Furnace, where it will remove what would otherwise be lethal damage, depending on knife stacks, afterburn, etc. Carbine, though, coming in from side. Not able to turn the corner enough for a follow through, though.
See if Abrahams can continue to push this lead. Over a 10k soul lead right now, we're kind of at that point of the game where you're strong enough to take mid boss if you get the opportunity player advantage-wise.
Here we go.
Also, I just received an MS Paint drawing explaining what may have been going on in middle from Calc, for those who remember Calc in his competitive playing, where he's coming back, by the way, at some point. Or so he says. He's healed up. Looking at the game state here now, though. Leviathan still effectively, Jake, they're just trying to maintain control of their jungle as needed, and they haven't been going out of the way to make any particular plays for picks or otherwise. It's been very reactive to Abrahams, basically for most of the game at this point.
Yeah, and in a way that was kind of your game plan from the beginning, but surely this soul splitting efficiency is you know, give Abrahams the dream start, right? Like, this is already a game where you needed to tempo the game, and to come in with the soul advantage off the rip is massive. There must just be a bug right now with the way souls are distributed with that many players. Like, that shouldn't do well for you in the early game, but obviously the soul lead they generated pretty significant, and now Leviathan find themselves, I mean, this is like you sort of expected with their comp, but also to be in the full comeback spot, to be looking for, you know, driving deep into the late game is really hard when there's enough of a soul lead where Abrahams could conceivably do things like gamble force mid boss. It's not completely insane. That being said, I think this should be a comeback earn. It's really close to the margin, but that would really change the game. Leviathan to the comeback earn kind of gets them right back into it.
It's 15%, I believe, and yeah, it is comeback earn. It is immediately picked up by Leviathan, but the airdrop to Abrams over and in together. Looking, still has charge, waiting, goes in for Fremont. Fremont, though, able to disengage Sigil out. Nap time coming on in. Leviathan trying to deal with this dive in and have forced together out at a minimum, and take a look at the sky. It's Fremont in the skybox. Rake was able to pick off together, not fully able to get away. Earn still in control of Leviathan, so the great escape still going on here, Jake. Rake, though, does give his life, is part of the retreat.
Yeah, you need to get more out of this if you're Abraham. So 1 for 1 on top of giving earn is not good enough. Still, could be a dive coming in from Celeste here under the tower. You're not going to really respect that with the level of movement Celeste has. And Sonya is going to be able to pick up another. Earn dunk almost contested, but a great shotgun from Venator there to kick Shiv out of the room. And 90% of those souls are going to go to Leviathan. So it's going to mitigate the lead a little bit here. And with the spell magic available, Shiv not really going to be seen as a threat here for Geist.
No, not at all. Also, I mean, Bobby is still relatively under farm for where you'd like the Shiv at this point in the game. In the middle, Leviathan maybe sensing a little bit of weakness, going for Saint. Saint, though, you're a Mo. You got Burrow. Even getting tethered here, you're going to buy enough time for other members of Abrams to rotate over and generally disencourage Leviathan from going in on the dive.
Is Dispel Magic our #1 item in the game right now?
It's got to be, right? Like, it's really up there. You know, it's funny, like, this item, when it was debuff remover, was the #1 bot item by a mile. And after it got changed to Spell Magic, everyone, oh, it's totally nerfed. No one's going to buy it anymore. And it has still stayed as our #1 item in the game. It took a while to get back there, but it's just so powerful to take off enemy debuffs, especially with the importance of those, like, catch spirit items. And now a mid-boss force comes in from Abraham's. Not surprised, right? They need to push their advantage, but with only a 10k lead, I'm not 100% sure about this. Like, it's the type of gamble you need to go for, but I don't know if Leviathan was ready. I think they were just too split on the side lanes. They might not be here in time.
Instant combo on the Overseas, who was first one in, maybe first one out. 2 rejuves caught by Abrahams. The Gambit paying off. All 3 rejuves. 2 Abrahams. The gutsy call into mid-boss paying out. Only lose 1 rejuve in on the contest here so far. Eaten by Together. So you get 3 kills on Leviathan. You leave mid-boss pit with 2 rejuves. And for Abrahams, who have more pressure on them early, this is where you want to be.
Yeah, 4th kill that early in the game is great. Vin just, I mean, part of it is for Leviathan, right? This strat they have of like pushing side lanes, right? Playing things nice and slow. It is going to get punished, right? When the enemy team is willing to flip a mid boss. You just aren't there really to get a contest off. Together, trying to get this disruption, but great awareness from Rake. Doesn't stay on the zip to get knocked. He's going to be out of here just fine.
Walker gonna go down. Abrahams looking to make the most of their advantage here, up 17k, but more importantly, getting walkers down on the map, opening up flex slots and opening up positioning on the map. However, Bobby again, maybe a little bit deep, again taken a little bit low. Freemock in on the flawless advance. Don't think it's gonna be a full dive. In fact, something where Freemock may have to get away in a hurry. Sanya coming in from above, dropping the Light Eater and dropping Freemock in turn.
Bobby is low. Leviathan might be thinking about this one. There's a couple players, right, who've already consumed the rejuves. Could be a fight to be had. Nice little shotgun jump from OCs. He tries to get away from this. Les right on top of his head, layering in the damage. He's out of stam, and the carry is down. Abrahams by themselves with player advantage, a 20k soul lead. A game they need to end quick, but one that they are absolutely on pace to do.
Hashtag chat, lane bug cheese. That's all they're talking about.
Yeah, we will review the situation after the match in terms of whether that's something that we are going to allow going forward. We're getting more details. It was news to us when we saw it.
Yeah, news to Leviathan, man. If the other top teams didn't know, I don't feel bad that we didn't either. I mean, I think there just has to be some issue with the calculation, maybe in the early minutes or something.
For now, at the very least, Jake, we're well out of the early game, and
yeah,
we talk about the game as it is right now, which is Abrahams still nursing a pretty big lead. And Leviathan, they're not out of it yet, but they're finding their options getting limited by the minute. And you just look at the rotations on the map here so far, and you just see Abrahams able to take more and more of the jungle. And I was just about to call for this. We have our count on golden statue buffs here, Jake, and it's super interesting. I would not have expected TAS, of all people, to have this much power from golden statues so far.
Yeah, it's actually going to be a big deal on Ivy. Nice catch, though, on Bobby here on the sideline. Already has consumed a rejuve, and I think he's going to take out from that. Freemock going to ensure the kill with the finish. This is a big split on the map. I think this actually is great for Leviathan. They're hoping to get some of these low numbers engagements, but Taz is here, pumping in the damage, buffed up as all hell. 1-for-1 trade is still nice, but will you be able to hold it to that?
Have to see. Meanwhile, in the middle, we got Sai running for his life. Under chase down from Sanya, trying to take the teleporter to get away. I think might be able to take the teleport, but may just be dead on the other side. Sanya still in hot pursuit, chasing down behind Tass, who has all sorts of low HP. And you're getting chased down by Celeste. You're with the best mobility in the game. And wait, I think Sanya lost track of Sai.
Yeah, Sai got away. I mean, Paradox does have some crazy movement speed buffs. An Urn attempted to be grabbed here by Overseas, but he's being absolutely run down. Even with the help of Rem, you do not want to get caught by Infernus. Looks like an Echo Shard on Rem, though. Double tag along. It's going to be enough to get Overseas out of this. Urn is snatched, though, by most. The ultimate prize does go to Leviathan if they can secure the dunk. This is deep in enemy territory. You have enough of a lead where you kind of want to think about going for it, but those are the fights Leviathan are kind of hoping for, I think, to make the comeback in this game.
I mean, if you're Leviathan, you'd love to get the Urn. It's going to be easier said than done. Also, I mean, you'd kind of love if this fight was a little bit more stood out, but instead this fight is intensifying. Shining Wonder or to use. Sai drops in off the stone form, just guns down Irizumi. Task proved to be a force on this Ivy.
Yeah, he's quite strong right now. Infernus as well. Big swap on Infernus, but he's still healthy enough. Oh, that swap is just enough to set up Bender for the kill. OCs is going to burn out for it. 3-for-1 is not going to be quite good enough, I think, for Leviathan. Now a 4-for-1, and this game is really getting out of control. Mo goes for the dunk at the same time. Mid lane turning into a bloodbath. Rayek desperately trying to get into the safety of those towers. Might be enough to hold for now with the Geist, but almost certainly this last Walker is doomed.
If you're Abrahams, the goal here is just maintain the lead that you have. Like, you are in a position that can win the game. However, it's also easier than expected to throw from the situation. But, oh, the dive directly on the rake.
Strike.
Just gone. Phantom Strike charge, dead.
Overseas is holding out in this back hall, but he's going to eventually just get overwhelmed. Needs spawners to come back in and bail him out on this guy. He does not have the health swap. And I think he's just going to be overwhelmed here, surrounded by Abraham's players. Execute not even needed. Sonya finds the finish. And this game has gone from bad to worse. Abraham's out of control now. 50k soul lead. Mid-boss spawning in, I believe, just a minute or so. Kind of Leviathan's last chance.
The problem here is that when you're down about 20k, there's ways that you can make things happen. When you're down 50k, even the players that have really good soul economy like OCs are not quite hitting the same way. Like, it's a Venator that's even to behind most of Abraham's now relative to being ahead. The win conditions are just really, really narrow for Leviathan at this point. And with mid-boss coming up in a minute, what's going to happen here, Jake, is that Abraham is just going to force mid-boss.
Yeah, I think that's a foregone conclusion here. Leviathan, it's a tough spot to be in. Have to find their way back into this game. Unstop even bot on Abrams, so he is not taking any risks on Together. It's going to be a really challenging frontliner to get through. You almost feel like you have to deal with Abrams. You don't want to let him just hard stun your whole team, but with that item build, I don't really see how you do so. Rayek has to be really careful on Vindicta because he's going to be the Phantom Strike target #1 every single fight here for Together.
I see Ivy.
I think for Leviathan, you're looking to Psy, you're hoping to generate a pick. Now, based on Abraham's, I mean, they have plenty of players other than Tass that are reasonable pick targets. I think, though, you have to take a risk sooner rather than later. I think if you wait for Abraham's to just slam mid-boss, I don't know if that fight actually works out well for you. I think this is the point in the game where you have to choose a point in the map and just go for something.
Oh my, easy burst so fast.
Zumi just might be caught. Nope, gets the tag along onto Psy. One of the quickest people you can grab, but the airdrop Abrams coming in on the chase. They really want this pick. Charge in from Together, ear zooming down, and Tass, or Psy rather, soon to follow. What a chase down, carried by Tass, quite literally, Jake.
Oh man, the airdrop, like nuclear bomb Abrahams, is a power play. That's what we were seeing a bit of on NA, and I like to see it in this Abrahams draft. It really suits their style. Irizumi was trying to do some baiting there, trying to like maybe pull Abrahams into a bad fight, just underestimated the ability to get away. And Furnace pops the ulti, crazy range on that. It's not enough to hit Vindicta, and he does slip inside of the building. Now a combo comes in, but Furnace can't really stick around for the fight. He's just too low for it. OC's running low on HP, and Unstoppable just running him down. And this game looks to be just fully out of control. Abrahams should be a free mid-boss for them, and likely the end of the game.
Yeah, off the pick, carried by Tass on the airdrop, able to just get key momentum here. They get multiple picks on Leviathan, and this is a way safer scenario than you mid-boss, where could Abrahams have forced it and probably gotten the rejuves? Yes. Is getting a few picks and then doing mid-boss a whole lot safer even when working with a big lead? Also, yes, because now you get mid-boss, it should be a relatively safe contest on the urn, or if they, are they going to get to urn in time here? It's kind of interesting, because Overseas like grabs urn while this is going on. They do have to rotate a few people there early. I don't know if Leviathan's gonna be able to generate a pick here, but at the very least, maybe they get the dunk. I don't think the dunk saves them, but they've created the opportunity here, Jake.
Yeah, they're gonna have to force this fight, find the way through. But the HP is just out of control here. I mean, Abraham's still healthy, still with triple rejuve. Leviathan trying to get some rejuves out outside of their base, and they just can't quite find the kills. Instead, throwing good money after bad, they are going to be in desperate trouble now.
Not able to get the dunk at the end, even with that potentially being a moment. Just about over at this point, Jake. I mean, again, you kind of calculate what can Leviathan do to get back into this game, and there's not much at this point. The soul difference has just become too massive to deal with. Shrine's getting taken down without a whole lot of contest, and I think if you're Abrahams, you just stay to the end here.
Yeah, you got to go for it here. You got to just finish the game off now. I mean, your comp is probably at its strongest, but with triple rejuve, I don't think the opportunities are going to get better than this. One rejuve claimed, but there's still a lot of healthy players here on Abraham's. Arzo going to be back into this. Leviathan trying to play off the base regen, but for Fremont, man, the damage is just too high. It's too much pressure. for this Apollo to shake. With the Patron dropping, likely to be a 5v6 into a double rejuve fight. This one is as good as done.
Leviathan will be back up to 5 here in a moment, but how they get any kills here is going to be another story. Also, that's Sanya with survival buff on top of things here, as if killing Celeste wasn't a big enough pain as is. Irizumi gave the stone form as Taz gets to business in the enemy fountain. 4 dead for Leviathan. It's going to be Abrahams earning their right back into the money match, although certainly in a bit of a controversial manner, Jake, is what I'll say to that.
Yeah, between games, EP, we're going to have to talk with the teams and see how we want to approach this for the rest of the day, because this is going to be a bitter pill to swallow for Leviathan. Abrahams going to take this win, but certainly going to be controversial in the eyes of the fans.
It's got an asterisk on it, we'll say that. Leading the way is the Abrahams Mo, getting his ult at 3 minutes into the game. Is it optimizing the lane? Is it abusing your knowledge or just abusing your opponents? Either way, this is one of the faster ones we've seen on the night shift. A crushing defeat as you had a lead from 90 seconds on. ZP, now that everybody knows how to do this, do we just expect all the pro teams to do it? Or do you just ask them nicely to play a gentleman's game? The Call of Duty kids, they have like gentleman's agreements.
Realistically, again, we have to
out and
we're going to talk
out
with the players in the break, but I will say my gut leaning on this is that because this was so specific to Trigger, on one hand, is it bannable or restartable for this first game? Probably not, because there's ways of defending it in terms of saying, okay, well, I don't know. I think realistically, going forward, this is like we're probably going to say no to.
We're going to have to solve it with the street brawl, come up with something better, chat. In the meantime, I'm going to get us out of trouble as we take a look. Do we want to do the highlights and all that fun stuff, or should we just go to break, ZP, as I know you have to be our commissioner? Let's take a look at these bad boys. It started with Mo down. I was like, oh, he's in trouble. Well, the Venator, he only got one. After that, OC's kind of put in his place. There was life early for Leviathan. When did this become uncontrollable, Jake?
I think it kind of came down to that mid boss, right? When they got they like went for the gamble flip on mid boss, and I think Leviathan was just kind of too stuck in their ways of playing a defensive game, right? Like really focusing on the side lanes, getting farm in their cores, that they just weren't ready to contest. And a full uncontested triple rejuve, like before that point, I think it was like a 10, 15K soul lead, which is nice. But when you get, I think they walked out of the pit with 2 rejuves on top of that. That was, I think, this is kind of the backbreaking moment of the game, is players just aren't quite ready. There's a couple players here for Leviathan. They're really desperate for the contest, but instead they give up key kills and they end up giving the full rejuve stack away. So this, for me, is the moment that's kind of backbreaking. I actually think up to this point, the game is still winnable for Leviathan. But from here, it's just so difficult. Taz got really nicely farmed on the IV. Cool to see Abrahams, though, on like generally unconventional heroes for their roster. I think like making a lot of changes roster wise, and also the way they approach the game was really different than we've seen from them before, right? They were willing to do different things than their players have played in the past.
The triple thick boy strat worked out here, ZP. Just when we were questioning who's even going to play Mo and Crow, who's going to run the Ivy, it sounds like Tass may have found his new character, and Saint showing he may have the best hands in the game.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of a question mark going, okay, how is Taz going to play here? And the idea of, okay, were they going to be going for the Paradox? That read on the draft was wrong. They weren't trying to go Paradox at all here, which is why they didn't pick it. It's why they went for the Ivy. They were picking Taz's hero all along. And it's hard to argue with the results. I mean, on a micro level, Taz was playing the IV super well, had some really impactful chase downs, and hey, standard pick heroes may not be as valued, but when you have an Abrams and you can just airdrop them into people, it works out pretty well for a pick too, as it turns out.
Yeah, Celeste seems to be pretty decent if you let her through as well, Jake. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, when you think about like what a pick hero does, right? Like Ivy ulting an Abrams in and like double stone forming somebody is it's like kind of like a holiday lasso. It's kind of like a paradox swap, right? Like extended initiation stun, being able to get deep on the target you want with mobility. I kind of like it that it sort of fits the way Taz wants to play. For Sonya, also, it's great to see him play the Celeste, because Celeste is, of the Spirit Nuka heroes, I think like the best at using net worth. And so to put a player like Sonya, who's really known for the farming patterns, known for being able to get ahead of the game, that he can pilot the Celeste confidently, is going to be a real feather in the cap here for Abrahams.
Taz loves playing the lady characters, says chat. You're not wrong. He does. Crushing on the Ivy just like he has in the Paradox in the past. Instead of flipping positions, he's just dropping bombs on you. Game 1 goes to the Abrahams. Those are your numbers. Do you have an MVP? Is it the Celeste just based on the numbers, ZP?
You know, MVP for me, I'd actually give it to Taz. I think the Ivy was actually part of some very key plays to keep the pressure on Leviathan, and also just a more unique look at the character from Taz, where, you know, we're kind of going, hey, it's a little bit of a rougher meta for Taz, simply because, you know, pick heroes haven't been as good, but made the Ivy look real strong. Also was a golden statue hog, as we saw from the stats.
Yeah, Taz set the team up for success, was like, I think, a key element to bringing the whole strategy together, right? More than just like, you know, the tip of the spear, the farmed carry that we celebrate so often here on the Night Shift. Let's take a look.
Yeah, for those who don't know, the golden statue, that's that little Buddha guy that you crush, and he jumps up your numbers 3% or 6% or something. Well, those percents added up to 7 kills, 1 death, and 23 assists, gentlemen. Let's take a look at what set Taz apart from the rest of his team. This is your sidekick of the match, brought to you by Shopify.
I mean, I think the way they played the Ivy was really the sidekick of the match, like the ultimate hero here for those supports, setting up a lot of their players for success. Shoppy's proud. You know, Shoppy is a big believer in sidekicks of you know, assisting the team, and Taz dropping people in with the Ivy's ultimate, hitting with the Stoneforms, the Vortex Web. A lot of control on this build, a lot of utility for the allies, and you know, I think this is a strong sign for the future for Taz, right? Like, the way the meta has shifted, you don't want to be locked in, excuse me, to these initiators.
You can sneeze now. The Kudzu connection, the airdrop, it was all there. What was the most important part of his play? Early game, late game, mid game? Where do you see Taz having the biggest impact, ZP?
I think for me, it was specifically what happened into the mid to late game, where a lot of the ways that Abrahams was able to keep up the pressure involved airdropping either Saint or Together directly into the fray. And I mean, look, quite literally, Taz is the pilot in these situations, and also was able to chase down some of the harder kills just with actual aim on the Ivy, where you don't look at Ivy as the biggest gun character nowadays, but Taz was still pumping some real damage when it counted. So I think for me, Taz just had phenomenal game sense to keep Abrahams in control where they needed it most.
You had to live till you had a Moe and Krill dropped in your lap by a stone creature. Well done to Ivy and the rest of the thickness. Abrahams get game 1 in the books. We're going to have to go talk with all of the coaches, the overseers, some diplomats, I think. Jake's got a bunch of important people in his Rolodex. We're going to call them all. We're going to come back with a decision. But my vote is we keep the show rolling on, because when we come back, Lowkey W has a hoot you don't want to miss.